I have been sitting here thinking about this team, and honestly, the Philadelphia Eagles roster feels like a pressure cooker right now. Some unexpected news just came out regarding a key defensive player that could have a massive impact on the future of this franchise. It is a strange situation that makes you question the stability of our depth chart when we need everyone locked in for the long haul. The more details come out, the harder it is to ignore what is going on behind the scenes. Hit that like button, subscribe, and drop your name and city below. Let's get into it. Philadelphia Eagles edge rusher Nolan Smith finds himself in hot water after an alarming incident involving reckless driving, casting a shadow over his future with the team. Back in May, Smith was pulled over in Georgia for driving 135 miles per hour in a 70-mile-per-hour zone while operating a 2026 Lamborghini. He was taken into custody near 11 p.m. on May 15th and released the following day, facing a July 14th court date that he can resolve by simply paying the necessary fines. As Philadelphia Eagles fans, we remember Smith as the explosive talent who contributed 6.5 sacks during our Super Bowl 59 run, though his momentum stalled due to a recurring triceps injury that limited his production this past year. The truth is, this news hits our fan base hard because we hold our players to a high standard, and seeing a young star jeopardize his life and career with such reckless behavior is deeply frustrating. We invested heavily in his development as a first-round pick, and watching him flirt with legal trouble while competing for a long-term extension against the likes of Jalen Carter and other emerging defensive stars creates massive uncertainty. The bottom line here is that Smith is currently at a critical crossroads where his on-field potential is being overshadowed by questionable off-the-field decisions. Despite the team picking up his fifth-year option through 2027, this is essentially a prove-it year where he must demonstrate maturity and consistency to remain a staple of this defense. With so much capital already tied up in Jordan Davis and Jonathan Greenard, Smith cannot afford many more distractions if he wants to secure his place in Philadelphia long-term. We expect better, and now he must prove that he is worth the wait for this team. Fly, Eagles, fly. The truth is, we have to address the elephant in the room regarding Nolan Smith and his recent legal troubles in Georgia. Back in May, Smith was taken into custody for allegedly hitting 135 miles per hour in a 70 zone while driving a Lamborghini, a lapse in judgment that immediately puts his status with this team on thin ice. It is a frustrating development given that we already saw him struggle with injuries, specifically a re-torn triceps muscle following our Super Bowl 59 victory over the Chiefs. While the front office secured him through 2027 by picking up his fifth-year option, his impact has been marginal, recording only 3 sacks during his 12 games this past season. Historically, the Eagles have zero tolerance for off-field distractions, and management is undoubtedly questioning whether his potential matches the significant cap space he will eventually occupy. We have already committed massive contracts to Jordan Davis and Jonathan Greenard, and with Jalen Carter, Quinyon Mitchell, and Cooper DeJean also needing extensions soon, the financial room is rapidly vanishing. Think about it this way. The team needs reliable production to justify a base salary that jumps to nearly $14 million for his final year. Coaches under Nick Sirianni likely view this as a pivotal prove-it campaign, where Smith must maintain focus to stay in the long-term plans. If he fails to evolve into a consistent game-changer, the organization will not hesitate to move in a different direction despite his draft pedigree. He remains ranked at number 18 on our internal list, yet he must prove he can handle the responsibilities of being an elite NFL edge rusher without the noise. As Philadelphia Eagles fans, we need him to lock in, pay his fines, and focus entirely on dominating the trenches so we can keep chanting "Fly, Eagles, fly." The reality of our situation is that Nolan Smith is currently skating on thin ice, and that puts the long-term vision of this defensive front in serious jeopardy. With an arrest for reckless driving in Georgia back in May, Smith has created an unnecessary distraction that the front office simply cannot ignore during a high-stakes championship defense. Financially, the Eagles are already juggling massive extensions for Jordan Davis and Jonathan Greenard, which leaves a very tight window for Smith to prove he is worth a lucrative second contract. If he fails to capitalize on his potential this season, we risk losing a key rotational piece while competing for resources against elite talents like Jalen Carter, Quinyon Mitchell, and Cooper DeJean. The depth chart remains crowded, and if Smith cannot elevate his game, our pass rush efficiency will surely dip against top-tier offenses as the year progresses. Looking at the schedule, we need his explosive presence to disrupt opponents during pivotal matchups against heavy hitters like the Giants, who have John Harbaugh now steering their ship. This is where it gets real for our playoff aspirations. If Smith is sidelined or inconsistent due to off-field issues or lingering triceps concerns, our ability to generate pressure collapses, forcing our secondary to work overtime against the best wide receivers in the NFC. The bottom line is that the margin for error in this division is razor thin, and we cannot afford to have a first-round talent become a liability when we are chasing another ring. We need him to stay focused and productive to maintain our dominance over our rivals. As Philadelphia Eagles fans, we expect better accountability from a player with his opportunities, because this team has enough talent to win it all if we keep our eyes on the prize and just fly Eagles fly. The upside of retaining Nolan Smith is undeniable because he has proven championship pedigree and explosive potential as a pass rusher when healthy, providing this team with high-end rotational depth that helps us keep our defensive line fresh throughout a grueling season. If he can replicate his breakout 2024 form, his current contract becomes a massive steal compared to the ballooning costs of elite edge talent. Conversely, the risk is substantial due to his recent legal trouble and lingering injury concerns, which could signal a lack of maturity or long-term durability issues that make him a financial liability. Media outlets and league analysts are increasingly skeptical about his future, questioning whether he can stay on the field long enough to justify a second massive contract when the Eagles have so many other young stars like Jalen Carter and Quinyon Mitchell demanding extensions. While Smith has the raw talent to dominate, the off-field incident involving his speeding charge has put him on thin ice with the front office, creating a narrative that his focus is wavering at the worst possible time. And I will be straight with you, this feels like a make-or-break season for his legacy in Philadelphia. While I appreciate his contributions to our Super Bowl 59 run, the sheer amount of capital we have tied up in the defensive trenches means the organization cannot afford to play favorites if his production continues to be inconsistent or his off-field behavior remains a distraction. If Smith wants to secure his future here, he needs to channel his energy exclusively into his performance on the field starting immediately this year. We want him to succeed, but the math just doesn't favor him unless he takes a massive leap forward before his impending payday arrives next cycle. Fly, Eagles, fly. The bottom line here is that the Philadelphia Eagles are facing a massive financial squeeze regarding their defensive line depth, which directly impacts our long-term championship window. With heavy investments already committed to Jordan Davis and Jonathan Greenard, the front office must decide if Nolan Smith is worth a premium extension despite his recent off-the-field issues and injury setbacks. This creates a challenging reality for Nick Sirianni as he balances the need for elite production against a shrinking salary cap. We should feel cautious yet optimistic because while Smith has shown flashes of brilliance, he needs to prove his maturity and durability to justify his spot as a core piece of this defense. His high-speed incident is a concerning distraction that puts him on thin ice, but his potential to be a game-wrecker remains undeniable if he stays focused. As Philadelphia Eagles fans, we need to realize that every dollar matters when guys like Jalen Carter, Quinyon Mitchell, and Cooper DeJean are also waiting for their eventual paydays. The team is clearly betting on youth, but this season is the ultimate litmus test for whether Smith can be a reliable cornerstone or if he will be a casualty of our tight cap space. It is a high-stakes gamble that will define our pass rush success for years to come, making this a pivotal make-or-break campaign for his career in Midnight Green. Do you believe Nolan Smith can overcome his off-field hurdles to secure a long-term extension with the Eagles, or is he playing his final year in Philly? If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Fly, Eagles, fly. I'll see you in the next one.